What's going on, everyone? I'm Jaren, and today we are talking about Damien Leone's Terrifier 3. In this third installment of the Terrifier franchise, Art the Clown is set to unleash chaos on the unsuspecting residents of Miles County as they peacefully drift off to sleep on Christmas Eve. Guys, Art the Clown is back and he's got a brand new bag. Santa's bag, that is, because he is coming around for the holidays. I remember discovering Art the Clown for the very first time through a bunch of internet memes and clips that I've seen on the YouTube and Instagram channels, and I thought to myself, is this an actual horror icon that's competent enough to come from an actual movie? And then during the pandemic, I actually got to sit down and watch the first movie for the very first time, and it freaked me the hell out. All right. I thought I could do this, but I gotta lose the glasses. It's just too much. The ultra violence and the gore truly sucker punched me, and it was the first time in a long time that the images of an on-screen slaughter truly stuck with me. I mean, the scene where Catherine Corcoran's character gets completely split down the middle, that is just something you can't shake off. And then I decided to go backwards and check some other things out because, nothing like trauma to get you interested in a franchise. So I got to see the original anthology that introduced Art the Clown. And that one was pretty awesome because that one was also directed by Damien Leone, but also someone else played Art the Clown. And then we have The Ninth Circle, which was a short film that I still haven't had the chance to check out, but definitely something I do need to watch right after watching Terrifier 3. The sequel is where things really blew up and put this in front of everyone's radar, especially when theaters started to reopen again. My best friend and fellow critic Aaron Medeiros was able to be a sport and watch this one with me, and I gotta say, it was one hell of an experience. I think that it got to showcase Art the Clown to mainstream audiences. I mean, heck, you even get to see a lot of merch nowadays, from t-shirts to cereal boxes, where Art the Clown is the face of this franchise. And he's gotten really popular. He's the main attraction for Spirit Halloween and Spencer's. I mean, they even got David Howard Thornton to come in dressed up as Art and do a lot of promos. But yeah, getting into our screening for Terrifier 3 last week, it was just unreal. We were in a packed auditorium where kids were dressed up for or as Art. And it made me realize we are living in such a great time for horror fans that we actually get to see a modern horror icon rise to the occasion and beat out a studio flick like Joker 2. Writer-director Damien Leone was very passionate about packing away the Halloween decorations for a change and having Art enjoy himself by the Christmas tree, by a plate of cookies and a glass of milk. But nonetheless, he's a horror fan who was really drawn from the inspirations of late 70s and early 80s aesthetics, especially for the production of the film, especially if you want to include movies like Black Christmas, Silent Night, Deadly Night. I mean, it was also the way that they kind of framed a lot of the lighting, a lot of the way the interior and exterior designs from inside and outside the house. It was a genuine Christmas vibe. I mean, the snowfall looked thick, the nights felt long, the glows of red and green really gave off that warm hum. And then we got the horror hounds, and myself included, wondering if Damien Leone and his special effects team were going to top the gore factor from the last movie. And we were also wondering, are they going to explore more of the lore that they set up in the last one, and also address the controversy surrounding this third installment? Starting off with the controversy that surrounded this film after the release of the official teaser, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. There are a number of children that perish by the actions of the killer clown. I think that Art the Clown does not have any limitations. It does not hold anything back. No one is safe. I mean, they don't discriminate against race, age, or sex. So they pretty much said, fuck them kids. Now, before everyone loses their minds, I gotta say, this is not the first movie, the first horror movie for that matter, that has killed off children. For example, just to name a few, you got Christmas, Bloody Christmas, you got Frankenstein, Hereditary, you got It, Jaws, Pet Sematary, The Witch, even David Gordon Green's Halloween trilogy. And what I appreciated is that they figured out how to make it tasteful without showing you so much. I mean, you have the heavy implications where you get the sound design, you get the shots of the aftermath, which clearly looks like a practical effect. You're not really getting a full Faces of Death situation. While we're on the topic of blood, gore, and graphic violence, you're pretty much getting the same quality as what you would come to these movies for. And you know what? Every death scene, every kill is just put and showcased on display to shock and gross you the fuck out. If Art the Clown has not found a weapon in his workshop or his hobo bag in order to dismay you, then he has the strength to split your skull open. But I do have to say, not a spoiler, but he does fashion a weapon out of liquid nitrogen that I thought was really damn cool and a nice addition to his arsenal. Now, in every Terrifier installment, it has always become a trope that you have to have that iconic and most depraved death scene of the entire movie. That scene happens to be the bathroom scene. And I'm sure that everyone was squirming in their seats, talking about it, trying not to throw up, but I don't mean to sound insensitive or desensitized, but I don't think it tops the last two iconic kills of the last two movies. It was still fucked up though. Getting into the talent here, Samantha Scafidi reprises her role as Vicky once again, and she surprisingly has a lot more to do in this installment. Her performance goes completely all out, and there were a few taboo moments that made me wince and tighten my grip in the seats. She's very vocal and sinister, and especially towards the third act, she comes off more like Freddy Krueger. Elliot Fulham also returns to the character of Jonathan, and they've made some choices with this character that, on one hand, I really appreciate what they've done with him and taking the direction of him as a survivor, and the other half, got me frustrated from time to time. I also think that the dynamic, the relationship between him and his sister Sienna have been rocky and fragile, especially due to the events of the last installment, and at the same time, I can't help but feel rather frustrated about how less integral his role was this time around. Lauren Levera as Sienna. Now, she has cemented her spot as the modern-day final girl and continues to live up to that title here. After 5 years, she is trying her best to piece back together a normal life, like moving in with her aunt and uncle, keeping in touch with Jonathan, and also showcasing a much sweeter bond with her younger cousin Gabby. And her performance in this is a lot more unhinged and vulnerable this time around, and I really like that in an interview, Levera has also expressed that she took a lot of her performance inspirations from Mia in The Evil Dead. You got Sydney from the Scream franchise, you got Ripley from Aliens, and also Laurie from the Halloween franchise. It is beautifully translated here, and when she finally comes face to face with Art the Clown and Vicky in the third act, she gets into full warrior mode. That confrontation was just wild. And big props to Levera for always being a sport at doing most of her own stunts. Last but not least, Art the Clown, played by none other than David Howard Thornton. This man continues to be none other than impressively scary and enigmatically hilarious all in one swoop. Now, this man, his job is to emote a lot of his expressions for a non-vocal slasher, whether that would be through his smile, his eyes, his posture, and even his hand gestures to just make it seem strongly fluid. And I gotta say, he's having a blast with all these holiday rituals as this character. David Howard Thornton has just some of the best comedic timing, especially in moments that would include him just drenched in blood and doing the dishes, or, when he walks by the bar and sees Santa Claus for the very first time. Putting Art the Clown in a Santa outfit was just one of the best new additions in this third installment, and for him to have the energy to expel a lot of maniacal and jolly just vibes, I'm just surprised that this man hasn't been casted as the Joker just yet. Expanding on the lore that they decided to set up in the second movie, we do get some answers to where Art, Vicky, and Sienna's connection to the supernatural, pertaining to Sienna's father being this particular illustrator of comic books. You got a few other theories that are sort of proven right, and also a few connected dots that begin to draw much more of a clearer path, but a lot of it is left on speculation. But going in knowing that there is a confirmed Terrifier 4 on the way, it will soften the disappointment of where they decided to end this movie, how much is actually revealed, and the direction that they're taking. But I get it, the payoff is coming real soon. It's just a lot is left here to be desired. Overall, I do wish that this movie was just as long or even longer than the last installments. I do feel like a lot of the off-screen kills and also key plot points were omitted from the final cut in order to shorten that runtime. This does feel like that middle chapter feeling where I am left craving more story, more kills by the time the credits started rolling. Nonetheless, this was a perfectly gruesome marriage of the first two Terrifier films in all the right ways. I do feel like it would have been better had they released this movie during Christmas, but I mean, it came out during Halloween. I purely believe that they're going to release this on home video or digital during the holiday season, so it's going to be perfect. Well, alright guys, that's all I got to share about that movie. Go ahead and show it some love, show some support, and check it out on the biggest screen as possible. For those of you who are casual fans, please watch what you eat or drink before and during that movie. In the meantime, thank you guys again so much for taking some time out of your day to hear me talk some movies. I'm Jaren Agbanawag. Look forward to more reviews, and I will see you guys at the theater. Take care.